Now, if you could, Robin, tell us a little bit about Get Real Health. It sounds like it's a company that really has a lot to offer to all sorts of people, but you're doing a lot right now for cancer patients.
Absolutely. So Get Real Health started about 12 years ago, and we are working in the health technology area. So what is that? What are we talking about here? Well, you know what? We all have health issues like cancer, and what we've been able to do we're really good technologists. We can build really cool software or applications or, mobile apps and things. But wouldn't it be neat to take what we're kind of good at and do something really important? And we have had the opportunity the last few years to take what we love to do, building things, and use it for a really great cause like cancer. This is an area things are just really taking off for Get Real Health, and we're seeing just a huge growth because people are so used to using technology with their smartphones and their tablets. All the fun tablets are coming out. People are used to using technology to collect information, and we provide the software to do that.
You know, and technology is one of those scary words, but once you start breaking it down with things you're talking about, just about all of us utilize these in our everyday life.
Absolutely. You got to think, a few years ago when we said online banking, everybody said, oh, my goodness, we can't do that online banking thing. Oh, no. Now, can you imagine paying your bills, writing a check, or not checking your bank account? It's amazing how we've moved forward. And honestly, we're doing all that on our smartphones, our cell phones. So I think when you first you're kind of a little scared of it, but then you realize how your life is much easier by doing that. And that's what we've done. It's been done in banking. It's been done in retail. Now it's actually it's a time for us to start to track our health, get our own selves empowered to take care of our health, and we can do that through all the new cool technology.
How does this help people with cancer?
Well, you know what? People with cancer, there's a bunch of different things. First off, it's scary. You get diagnosed, it's very scary. And, you're trying to get that information. Even when you're in there getting the diagnosis, you need to be able to take notes and you'll be able to get that information. So we get them started right at that moment. And it's not usually themselves. We built an application for American Cancer Society called Circle of Sharing. And Circle of Sharing is actually thinking about you need your team around you. When you have cancer, somebody tells you have cancer, you don't hear anything other than you have cancer, and then your brain just shuts down. You need your team around it, but you need a way for that team to communicate. So what we've done is built something called Circle of Sharing for American Cancer Society. Within that, we do a bunch of different things. One is you get your team. You usually have your captain, which could be your husband, your wife, or your daughter, or your mother is your captain, and then you have a team around them. But how do you communicate what's going on? Because what happens is everybody wants to know how are they doing, how are they doing, how are we doing. So instead of picking up the phone and calling, the team captain can blog. They can say, hey, this is how she's doing. This is what's going on. We need somebody to help out with bringing food over so we can actually send a calendar out and people can sign up for when to drop off food. But then also for the patient is reminders. First off, just a list of what medicine you're on, right? That is, it's usually said, well, I'm on a pink pill and there's a blue one, and I think I take it in the morning, right? We all do that. This way, you actually have it tracked on the site that says, this is the medicine I'm on, this is when I'm taking it, this is when I need to refill it. And then, along with that, and it reminds you when to take it, and you can take that all on your phone. That's one way. The other thing that's really important is cancer is the side effects. And these are the soft things that, it's really hard. You've probably been when the doctor said, how many hours of sleep did you have last night or last week? You kind of go, I don't remember. This is a daily journal that they can track. How many hours of sleep did you last night? How were you feeling? How many times did you get sick? You're fatigued? And we're able to track that literally on your cell phone. So when you go to meet with the doctor, they can take a look at what's going on in your life, the real soft skills, what's really happening. Maybe they need to make an adjustment on that medicine. But for the first time, we're tracking that kind of information.
And that's one way people can help themselves. I mean, if you're forgetting to take your medication one day, doubling up the next day doesn't do you any good.
Oh no! If anything, it's going to make it worse. It's really going to, almost overdose you. So it's so important to be reminded that you're taking it, and track when you're taking it, and then seeing what it's doing to you when you are taking it, what are your side effects. Because a lot of times people just think they have to live with that. And if they come back in and say, doctor, but I'm only sleeping 3 hours a night ever since I've started taking this medicine, the doctor can really see and say, yeah, I see this is happening. Or depression is another large piece that comes in with cancer. They can start to catch that much earlier if they're tracking, what's your mood today? You know, it was a really rough day. I'm feeling pretty sad. And they see a repeat of that, you know, boom, boom. For the first time, usually we say, how did you feel last week? I don't know, I was okay. But if you're tracking it every day, you start to see trends. And they can make changes with your medicine or introduce a new one to maybe help you if you're dealing with depression. Because cancer is a tough thing to be dealing with.
You know, one of the things that Get Real Health has done has been working with the Dr. Susan Love Research Foundation and using their technology to help these folks help people with breast cancer. And that's just we just finished Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October, and I don't think there's anybody that's listening to us or you or I that don't know somebody that's been afflicted by breast cancer. I mean, it's just one of those rampant diseases that affects everybody that you can think of. And you folks are doing a great job of helping people with this.
Well, absolutely. You know, some of the breast cancer stats are just amazing. It's 108 women die each day from breast cancer. And over 280,000 women were diagnosed last year. And what really gets you is, you know, 30% of it might be in something that is part of the family genetics or inherited, but 70%, we have no idea where this cancer is coming from. So Dr. Susan Love decided, you know what, I'm going to tackle this. This is really an important piece. And what she's done, and what we were very lucky that she wanted to do, we built a really large online survey tool. What is that? What do you mean by a survey tool? So basically what she wants to do is get hopefully up to 1 million women and men to take the survey. And the survey is just collecting data about your life. You know, where do you live? What's your demographics? Where do you live? What kind of medicine you're on? What kind of birth control you're taking? All the daily living things that we're doing, start tracking that. And even to the point where we have logic in the back of the technology. So let's say you start filling it up and they ask you, have you ever been pregnant? Yes, I have. How many times have you been pregnant? 3 times. In those 3 times, how many times did you deliver a baby? And it starts to have what's called branch logic. So you're answering these questions, and what it does is we collect all this information, huge amounts of information, and the researchers can take a look and say, hey, wait a second, what's going on in Washington, D.C.? We are seeing that, all these people, all of a sudden we're seeing a trend of more cancer in that area. And then they can start to look at that data and say, it looks like it's near this part of the country, and it looks like it's this demographic of people, and this group of people are closer to this part of this water, or et cetera. So it's a huge online survey. And what's good is people can take it and then get their friends to take it and get a real movement going around. Because with research, hopefully we'll find a cure.
And that's where the technology part comes in, I think, so importantly, is that you can maintain and keep current so much information, important information like the things you were just talking about, that would be impossible just to store in the back of your mind for most people.
Well, even on paper. Can you imagine
exactly. You'd have reams and reams of paper.
You'd be saying, okay, now find the data. Are you kidding me? What are you going to do? Start going to the paper. Now they can actually, because this information is sitting in this really rich database. So let's say all of a sudden they take a look and say, this birth control looks like maybe it's causing some kind of breast cancer. They can go into the data and say anybody who's taken this type of birth control, bring it up, and then bring them up and send another survey out to them and say, listen, we've noticed you're on this, on this birth control. Have you, and ask the question, have you been tested for cancer? Have you go through and see, well, maybe they can start to really look and verify that maybe that is something that's happening in the population. But now they have the data, so they can go back to that data and back to the data. And this is a 20-year study. This is not something we're doing kind of, boom, let's do it, walk away. She wants to really look at that information. And now we can do it in a faster way, and also really get people involved from all over the world on the study, because it's a worldwide problem. It doesn't just happen in Washington, D.C. or Kansas. It's happening everywhere.
I've been filing this stuff in the back of my mind and just in awe of all this information that's available. I don't know if we mentioned where people that are afflicted by cancer, or those of us that may have relatives that are afflicted by it, how can we find out how to use this new technology?
Well, a couple different ways. One would be circular sharing by American Cancer Society, and which is circularsharing.cancer.org. And that's where you're going to really, I find that one is if you are affected by cancer, this is a great place to go and start tracking your cancer, starting to get information. American Cancer Society has just the best information in the world to learn about your cancer. These are researchers and scientists and doctors that are pulling the right information together, and that's really important with technology. You can type in anything into the internet nowadays, and you can get all kinds of different results. You want to go somebody who is a trusted source of that information, and with that, that's where you can start to enter your medicine in, track your medicine, track your treatment. Type in, you basically say, let's say I have breast cancer stage 2. They can go in there and say breast cancer stage 2, and we can actually pull up information about your cancer. It's really about the patient, and that's a great place for you to start to really do that. And then, of course, you invite your friends to support you. And now you've got a circle of sharing of information with your friends and caring. They're going to be there to really help you. That, I think, is really great for the person who just has been diagnosed with cancer, can actually get in there. And then for the study, which I would love everybody to get involved with this. It'd be fantastic. It's www.healthofwomenstudy.org. So again, www.healthofwomenstudy.org. And everybody can go to it and sign up and just start taking the surveys. It doesn't take long. It's really quite simple. But just think of what you can do. And this is what makes us so passionate is, my goodness, we built something that maybe someday might help somebody. That is where technology really makes an effect now. It's much faster. We can do things that we never thought we could do even 5 years ago. And now we can do that with technology. And then, of course, cancer is just one. We can do it we're doing it all over the world in all kinds of different forms of chronic diseases and management of your health.
Now, one of the things about having this access to this information, that there might be a little bug in the back of your mind saying that, what if somebody gets a hold of this info that doesn't necessarily need to know it? Is this going to be a very secure website where people can give their private medical knowledge or information without being afraid of having somebody, take it?
Absolutely. That is got to be the most important thing that we do. Again, we can build great software, but we got to secure that software. We got to tighten it down so no one can get it. First off, what's a little different about, you hear a lot about electronic health records. That's a big buzzword right now, getting all your health records online. And people go, ooh, I'm scared about that. First off, it's all sitting in your doctor's office, and we want to be able to get access to it. What's interesting about when you take it from the doctor's office and get it to our sites, what we're doing across the world, is you finally have, you're in control of it. And you decide who you want to see it and who you don't want to see it. And we have security around that to make sure that you make that decision. And we prompt you often to say, do you really want to share it with this person? Do you want? But then the other side of it is all the data is held in a very secure, actually a high-trust, secure site on this website that servers that are tied down. You cannot get in there to be able to look at that information unless you go in and they check your, look at your eyes and your fingerprints and everything. So it is tightened down, and then we've tightened down with inside of anybody hacking in. So this is probably the most important thing we've done, and we work with a lot of the top security experts around the world, and of course here in the United States, which is incredibly important. But along with that, you're finally getting control of your own health information, where right now you get to go in, you ask for your files, you have to pay money to get them, which is ridiculous, and then you just get a piece of paper. Now you're going to actually be able to get it from your doctors, pushed down to these sites, and you'll be able to actually start to control your own health care.
And one thing that is on the back of everybody's mind when it comes to healthcare is the cost. Do you think this technology has helped? Is it going to help people ease that fear? I think how many people do you know or that I know won't go get something checked up because they're afraid of the cost or they might not have insurance? Do you think technology will help in that regard?
Absolutely. We're actually working with some new partners that are coming on that, and that's really a focus. Is how do we control this rising cost of healthcare? Well, first off, we are all about bringing the clinical, the doctors to the patients back to the doctors. The doctors aren't getting the whole picture, so they're having things repeated, having longer conversations about things where they really need that home care information. So now we're actually collecting it, so the doctor can make really great decisions and say, I'm noticing that your blood pressure is going up, and they can get them and talk to them and get a change in the medicine before they're having a heart attack, right? So coming in for a doctor's appointment will cost only a little bit of money, right? You come in, it's still a little bit, but you got to come in and see them. Hopefully insurance will cover some of it, or you can a little bit out of pocket. But if you have a heart attack, wow, we're talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So with technology, and being able to bring what's going on in your home life through technology back to your doctor, they're able to catch things much earlier. Prevention, that's a big part of cost. The other side of that is to be able to take all this information and be able to basically, you don't have to go from one. If you go to the hospital and you broke your leg, you get an X-ray there. Then you realize you have to go see a specialist. Well, now with technology, the X-ray, before you had to go get another X-ray done, and then maybe another one. Now with technology, they can electronically send those X-rays from one doctor's office to the hospital to the doctor's office. And guess what? You get a copy of it in your website because it's actually sent to you, so you're holding a copy of it also. So you can see some of the cost savings right off the bat. So I do think this is going to change the way healthcare is done. And guess what? It's not just here in the United States. We do a lot of work in England and Taiwan and all the countries looking to figure out a way to get this more electronically to save money in healthcare and actually really look at getting people earlier in the cycle before they get real sick.
And with that, you mentioned a key word, prevention. Mm-hmm. That obviously is going to help people stay healthier. And, if there is something wrong, they can get it checked earlier and taken care of without running the risk, like you said, of a major heart attack or another catastrophic medical occurrence.
Absolutely. So we do a lot of work with health risk assessments. So what we do is prompt somebody, but a reminder. Say if you've had, you prompt you to say, hi, welcome to say, well, we want you to take, notice your birthday's right now, and we want you to take just a quick survey or a little, questionnaire. In that questionnaire, what happens is we're starting to catch, see if I see that you've gained 15 pounds this year. Oh, okay. And I see that you, I've been having a lot of rich food. And you start to say, and there's logic behind that says, they've gained a lot of weight, their blood pressure's coming up a little bit, they're pre-diabetic, and we need to get them in. So even with questions and surveys at certain times. The other thing we have is we did a site for prostate cancer up in Alberta, Canada, and so prostate cancer is something you need to be checked on. Hopefully to get it resolved a little bit, but you need to be checked every year to make sure. So reminders are sent out to say, it's time for a checkup. Or every 5 years, a colon cancer. You need to come in and have a colon cancer screening. So we remind people to come in and do those things that we keep on saying, oh, yes, I'll get to that. Oh, yeah, I'll get to that. It reminds you. It pushes you to make an actionable, something actionable happen in your life to get, like you say, prevent. When you catch something at cancer at the first stage of that, they can go in, they can attack that and get you well. But it's further along. It's going to be much harder to save your life.
How does it feel to be a part of something like this? I mean, it's just the potential and the actual happenings right now, and the potential for more great things for people are just enormous. And how does it feel to be a part of this?
It is amazing. I can give you an example. I was up in Canada at one of our clients, Lawson, and they do mental health, which is another huge issue out in the world. And so we are doing all these trackers. We're tracking how people are feeling and when things come on. When do you feel like this and what happens? So we're in kind of this launch, this big event, PR event, and one of the patients got up and spoke that he had not left his house for years because he had anxiety attacks, terrible ones, and they didn't know what was affecting him, and he was suicidal. He really was. He couldn't live life like this anymore. So they started using the application and started to track what's going on, and they were able to take a look at when they went through and tracked what was actually causing the anxiety, what were the triggers. And the doctors were able to really pinpoint on that and make sure they get the right medicine. And he is now re-entered society. He is out there playing golf. He's able to have lunch with people. He's getting out of the house. I got to tell you, I was in tears. Because, we build software. We were in here working on crazy people. We got to get it done. We were all like that. But when you see somebody get up and talk about how it's changed their lives, there is nothing that feels like that in life. To say, oh, my gosh, we're really doing something. And we've got many stories like that. So it's just, I got to tell you, Steve, it's just, wow. It's really cool. It's super cool. And I'm excited because I think there's a wave. People are starting to go, wait a second, why can't I do this online? It doesn't make any sense. I can do everything else. Why can't I? And the governments and the insurance companies and the hospitals, everybody's starting to get on board with it. So it's an exciting place to be right now.
Man, this time has just flown by. Robin, thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for the work you're doing.
Well, fantastic. And please, everybody, join healthofwomenstudy.org. Get on there, help the research side of it, and visit our friends at American Cancer Society. They're just doing phenomenal work. Very good. This has just been a pleasure visiting with you today. Thank you so much, and come visit us back over in Maryland sometime. Well, thank you very much. We will do more than think about that. My wife's been itching to head east. Oh, please. It's gorgeous right now. It's absolutely gorgeous. Sounds wonderful. Thanks, Robin. You're welcome. Bye.